Welcome to Half a Point, the podcast that saw the Hawks find a way to win the Easter Monday Classic. They get over the top of the Cats in the final seconds there to cap off what was an incredible round four. But this week is our round five best picks episode. We'll each be giving our five best picks against the spread. To help me break it down, I am joined by my co-host Carlton superfan Cuss. Mate, how are you feeling after that round?
Yeah, not too great. Another another standard week for Carlton, which was really disappointing, but we'll get into that. But yeah, nah, otherwise pretty good.
If you're new to the channel, please leave a like on this video and subscribe. We're also active on TikTok, on X, on Instagram, and on Spotify. So give us a follow on those. And also a reminder to please gamble responsibly. All right, Cuss, let's jump into round four. Well, I guess first off, this video might come out a little bit later than what we usually do. So sorry for that. I couldn't get my laptop going, and I was overseas for a bit, and it's early morning for Cuss in Melbourne, 5:30 a.m. for him. So shout out Cuss for getting up nice and early to film for you guys to get. We want to get the content out. Like nothing's really going to stop us here. So yeah. So apologies for the late episode, but alas, it will be out before all the games start. So get off. So round four, Brisbane Collingwood. It ended up being a bad spot for the Pies, I reckon. We were on Collingwood, unlucky with the number because Dacos was laid out, but I feel like even with Dacos, it wasn't a great spot for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to North Melbourne and Carlton. Yep, I was on North here, you were on Carlton. Let me take you back a couple of weeks, mate. You said you were never hopping on the Blues if they didn't cover. They didn't cover. You jumped on them again. They didn't cover. And you jumped on them again. And they didn't cover. Same old story. Second half fade out. I think this was like a fourth quarter fade out, but just disappointing. It's the same story every week, rinse and repeat. They just cannot close out a full game. And yeah, it's weird. If they're in the lead, they're just going to find a way to choke it. So I don't know. I think it's just safe to stay away from the Blues no matter what. Moving on.
Well, just wait till our picks this week. Dude, look, man, I've been on Carlton every single week, and I'm on for I don't know, man. I don't know. Um, yeah, you could just tell in that last quarter that North were just going to storm home, and they did. You called it exactly perfectly last week. I fell into another Carlton trap. I don't know. Moving on to Adelaide Fremantle, it was a cracking game in the end. Fremantle cover and win outright in the end, which I think was deserved. You won Fremantle. I feel like if Adelaide covered, you would have been super lucky. Fremantle dominated large parts of this game. And now they're sort of established themselves. That's a big win on the road for them. Yeah, massive 4 points. Richmond, Port Adelaide. Before you go, like, I think with this one, I know the score was a blowout, but I feel like you got unlucky. Like, Richmond had a lot of opportunities, especially in the second quarter.
Yeah, heaps of opportunities gone missing. Like I think from what they actually put up on, like in terms of game wise, like they did really well, and there were flashes of them, like kicking a few consecutive goals in a row. But yeah, they just unable to convert. Um, Pretty poor. I think it was the third quarter where they missed like three, four goals in a row.
Mm.
So yeah, all those little things obviously count towards it, and then. Yeah, Port were able to just kick a few in a row in that last quarter, which sort of got them um, got them over the line. But yeah, moving on.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a bad pick, but they
Yeah,
probably shouldn't have won, but they probably should have got closer to the spread there. What was a bad pick was West Coast against Sydney. This was an awful pick by both of us. I really should have known. Like this is a classic letdown spot for this West Coast side. They got absolutely demolished by the Sydney side. Sydney, yep, looking good on the road, beat up on a pretty hapless West Coast side. Um, but still, to put up a large number, the way Sydney play, that's not wasn't the most shocking thing to see. Obviously that was our fear going into last week. So yeah, put a hand up. We're both on a bad pick. Melbourne Gold Coast, probably my best pick of the week. I called the outright win as well. Um, I don't think a lot of people would have been on that, and it was a pretty comfortable win in the end. I was catching 3 goals as well, so the spread was never really in doubt. And I feel like Gold Coast kicked pretty well in front of the goal as well. So, yeah, all in all, yeah, classic letdown spot for the Suns. I wouldn't read into it too much. There's not many problems with the Suns. It was just a low effort, classic sleepy spot on the road. Melbourne looked really good. Like they're scoring, they're moving the footy pretty well, and they're scoring freely. So good win for Melbourne, but I feel it's more of a bad spot for the Suns there, so I wouldn't read into it too much. Western Bulldogs Essendon gets there, the 70-point spread gets there in the end. Didn't look good after the first quarter. I was on a plane and like as it was taking off, I saw the score of the first quarter and I was like, oh, I'm cooked. I landed and it was yeah, a 30-point game in the fourth quarter to my surprise. So it was really pleasing to see that. They outscored them for the last 3 quarters. After quarter time, Essendon outscored them. If you remember last week, I said to put a little bit of catch change on the money line. I Obviously they didn't win, but I didn't think it was a bad play in the end. If you're getting 20 plus
Mm.
bucks, so that's sort of what you're looking for. But yeah, in the at the end of the day, I said last week as well. If you're covering a 70-point spread, so many things have to go your way. So many things have to go your way. So like they dominated the first quarter, but then they could have done that for another quarter, and it still would have been a coin flip, right? So yeah, that's why it's hard playing those massive numbers. And to cap off the round, it was Hawthorn Geelong, absolute ripper of a game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, I don't know how many lead changes this game had, but it was just back and forth the whole game. I don't think Hawthorn were ever really in a position to cover. I feel like Geelong were just always biting back at them no matter what. Pretty answered pretty much every goal Hawthorn had, and it was, yeah, like I said, back and forth. Such an exciting game. I think I rewatched I didn't get to watch the fourth quarter because I was driving. So I had to go back and watch it, and yeah, it's just a classic Geelong Hawthorn game. Like you go back to like a few years ago, and that's just exactly how every game was.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's why the points was really important there. I don't think Hawthorn was a bad pick though, even though they didn't cover, it didn't really look like they were going to cover. Like it was always going to be a close game, right? But yeah, Hawthorn probably, if you if they play a game 100 times, Hawthorn probably covers maybe like
Yeah.
40% of the time. But yeah, took the points in the end and it worked out for us. So um, I guess the Hawthorn games are good for my futures because I was on Hawthorn overs in Geelong under, so that's good. Anyway, so I go 3-2, so I bounce back 10-10 against the spread. So 50%, we want to go 56% against the spread. So I'm not there yet. Cuz you had another shocking week, 1-4, 6-14 against the spread. Now, how you can turn around?
I'm not sure, mate. I just got to stick to the basics. Just keep backing myself. But if it keeps going like this, I might have to change it up a little bit.
That's all right. No, I think keep sticking to principles. I think you got unlucky for a couple of times, a couple of bad picks there as well. So, yeah, I think just as well, like it's such a long season, like things can change really quickly, as we saw last year. So let's jump into gather round here. Let's jump into a full slate of games finally after round one, I think. Just before we do some gather round stats, so. In 2024, the favorites went 9-0 straight up, 6-3 against the spread. So there's a lean in gather round for to go with these favorites. Last year, apart from the games that didn't involve the Adelaide team, so all neutral venue games, the favorite not only won outright but covered the spread. So 7-0 against the spread in all those games as well. The two upsets, funnily enough, involved both Adelaide sides, with Adelaide losing to Geelong and Port Adelaide upsetting the Hawks. So yeah, you want to lead into the favorites here a little bit more, especially in gather round. I feel like the market's slowly catching up, but I don't think that they're yet. I guess smaller grounds. I guess there's maybe less variance. I guess. And so the better team wins. I'm not sure. That's just a theory. But again, it's 2 seasons, so not a massive sample size. So could be a little bit of nothing, but yeah, just something to keep in mind. So keeping that in mind, let's start off with Adelaide versus Carlton. Starting off gather round Thursday night game at the Adelaide Oval. Last time they played, Adelaide were 11.5 point favourites, ended up blowing them out by 60. I was on Carlton that game for sure. This time around, Adelaide are 35.5 point favourites. Are we going with this one?
Oh, it's a stay away from me, mate. I just think there's so much capacity here for Adelaide to blow us out. We've lost Wiedering. Sometimes you do see teams sort of cover that missing player, find a way to like cover that player. But yeah, I just think for an average team, it's possible. For Carlton, maybe not so much. I don't know. To beat Adelaide, we might need to put more than 2 quarters of footy together. Maybe a whole game would be nice, but yeah, I don't see a world where I could jump on either of these teams with any confidence. Because yeah, I don't think Adelaide's had the best start this season either. How do you read it?
Give me Carlton plus 35.5. Wow, what's the problem? What's the issue?
Oh man,
No
no, no,
problems?
no,
Mate, that was a
no, no.
test, mate. You meant to say I'm not allowed to pick that. Do you remember
No,
last week? I
I
said
remember, I remember.
I said you. That was a test, man. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not on Carlton. Carlton's not one of my picks. I was just testing Cuss out. It's early in the morning, so I'll give you some grace. Anyway, I did want to be at this number at 35.5. I really did want to be on Carlton, but as you said, I just can't do it. I'm not going to do it anymore. At the start of the week, when this was in the 20s, I really wanted to be on Adelaide. But now, so like my initial lean was Adelaide. It's just a really bad spot for this Carlton side. I think even throwing out all the stuff with all the comebacks and stuff, like this Adelaide side is a bit desperate. For a win. They're also 1-3 now, so they need a win. And yeah, they always beat up on Carlton, so that always happens, right? So yeah, good spot for for Adelaide, but at 35.5, that's just a lot of points. And this
Mm.
Adelaide side haven't been great offensively. They've been really good defensively, but not offensively. So I won't be shocked if Carlton, of course, now that I'm not on them, they're going to cover this game. But yeah, I'm not going to be shocked at all if they cover this. I don't really see a world where Carlton win, but yeah, seeing crazy things happen. But yeah, I at this number, I lean Carlton, but I want it to be in Adelaide, so it's a stay away for me and the contest. Thank God. All right, moving on to Collingwood versus Fremantle. Friday night game at the Adelaide Oval. Last time they played, Collingwood were 20.5 point favourites, ended up losing by 1 point to Fremantle. Crazy win at the MCG there. This time around, Collingwood are 13.5 point dogs. Another stay away for me. I played a little bit of Fremantle when they were like 4.5. That was like I think last week. Um, I just feel like again with the trend with going with the favourites, I feel like when you're not really sure, you just want to lean the favorite. And I thought that was a good number. Now that's up to 13.5. As soon as you start thinking this Collingwood team is not that good and you write them off, that's sort of exactly when they shock you. So that's why I didn't make this part of my five. And also at 13.5 now, I think Dacos is back and Pendlebury is back as well. You, I don't know, write this Collingwood team off at your peril has been the trend over the last couple of years. So yeah, I wanted to be on Fremantle. At definitely at a lower number. At 13.5, definitely no play at all. How do you read it?
Yeah, pretty much read it the same. Like I feel like, after last week especially, people are just writing this Collingwood team off and you know, I same thing. I just don't think you can say they're not part of the competition anymore. Like they find a way to just compete. Which is one of the great things about this Collingwood side. And yeah, the inclusions of Dacos will definitely help. Um you could sort of see that they were lacking his run a little bit last week. Um, so yeah, I think I'm going with Collingwood here at plus 13.5. If it
Wow.
was, yeah, if it was yeah, like I said, if it was maybe below 2 goals, maybe I probably wouldn't. Might just stay away from it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna jump on it at 13.5.
I think that's really fair, man. And keep in mind, Fremantle, I think they're what 3-0, 4-0 against the spread as well. So like they're still yet to not cover. I think it's a very fair play, especially at this number. Moving on to North Melbourne versus Brisbane, a Saturday afternoon game at Barossa. Last time we played, North Melbourne were 36.5 point dogs, and it was a draw. If you remember that one, I said to play some North Melbourne money line. Almost got there. This time around, North Melbourne are 34.5 point dogs. Where are you going with this one?
Stay away for me. I don't just because of last week, I don't think Brisbane is exactly where they're meant to be. But then also North Melbourne, they are a competitive side. They're not like they're not the same team that we've been watching for the past couple of years. They do have a bit more bite to them. Um, and yeah, so I can't find any confidence going with either team. I did want to jump on North Melbourne just because of the points. But yeah, at the end just decided to stay away a little bit. How about you?
Give me Brisbane minus 34.5 here. I love this one. North Melbourne, I think you said they're different. I don't think they are different than previous years. I mean, they've versed what Port Adelaide, West Coast, Essendon, and Carlton. And like no one's in the class of this Brisbane side here. I think they get a massive reality check here, and Brisbane just go down on them. Again, it's a favourite as well, so that sort of helped this as well. Especially against these good teams versus bad teams. Like even if it's sort of close, I'm thinking North Melbourne Gold Coast last year was pretty close. It was like scores are level at like three-quarter time or early in the fourth quarter, but then I think Gold Coast pulled away. So we see that sort of happen a lot in gather round in these smaller grounds. So yeah, so even if this game is close and North are competitive, I think like Brisbane can still cover. I just don't think it's going to be competitive from the start though. Like it was a massive emotional win for this North Melbourne side last week versus Carlton, a comeback win. That's consecutive wins in a row. Like haven't done that in ages. And I just feel like they come back down to earth. Like even the captain said, I think Larky, he was like, "Oh, I think that's the greatest win like I've ever experienced." So as soon as you start hearing that those sorts of things, that's when you sort of want to lean. Like, what is this? Like they're going to Barossa after a massive win. Like they're not going to show up, in my opinion. Could be wrong, but yeah, I think this is a perfect spot for this Brisbane side to get a massive percentage boost, and North Melbourne just way above their class. Moving on to Essendon versus Melbourne, Saturday afternoon game at the Adelaide Oval. Last time they played was in Gather Round last year, where Melbourne were 2.5 point dogs. Essendon actually ended up winning by 39 there. This time around, Essendon are 26.5 point dogs. Stay away from me. Really, really, really wanted to be on Essendon here, but I think after being on them for 2 weeks in a row, I think I'm just gonna take it easy now. I think I've got my luck. They're 2-2 against the spread, so it's not like they've been as bad as what people perceive. As I said last week, 26 and up, that's a lot of points for this Melbourne side to be laying. Like yes, they're good. They're playing a nice brand of footy now, but I don't know. That's a lot of that's a lot of points in the preseason, I sort of circled this as a spot for Melbourne to play. But I think the preseason, I thought this would be under a goal or something. And so, yeah, I wanted to be in Melbourne, but at this number, I want to be in Essendon, so I'm staying away. What do you think?
Yeah, stay for me. Pretty much the same. Wanted to jump on Essendon, but yeah, I don't feel like I can't read Melbourne, honestly. Like they sometimes just show up and play real good foot. Like last week, their game was near perfect. It was like very enjoyable to watch. Yeah, and we know how much of a mess Essendon can be. But they did perform really well last week. So will they take a lot of confidence out of that? Not too sure. But yeah, just thought I'd play it safe and stay away from that one.
Yeah, fair. And again, another reason why I do want to be in Essendon, favourites, right, and gather around, right?
Mm.
Um, Moving on to Sydney versus Gold Coast, Saturday afternoon game at Norwood. Last time they played, Gold Coast were 14.5 point favourites, ended up winning by 38. This time around, Sydney are 3.5 point favourites. So we're going with this one.
Give me Sydney minus 3.5. Yeah, I think they're a very dangerous team at the moment. It could be one of those teams that are just firing at the start of the season and then, slow down towards mid-season. But yeah, I think at 3.5, I'm pretty comfortable taking this side here. Yeah, even last week against West Coast, I don't feel like they played like their best footy, like as weird as that sounds. They would turn the ball over quite a bit. But the West Coast just didn't really know how to punish them for that. Um, so I think Sydney have what it takes to cover here against Gold Coast. How about you?
Let's clash. Give me Gold Coast plus 3.5 and give me Gold Coast to win out right here. Absolutely love this one. One of my favorite picks on the board here. Um, I mean, firstly, just classic betting principle, just buying very low on Gold Coast and selling high on Sydney. Sydney after a 120 point win and Gold Coast after a massive loss on the road. Just buy those so hard, but it's more than that. Another thing is I make Gold Coast still like 3 or 4 point favorites, so I think I'm getting at least a goal of value here. Massive overreaction from this market on the from the market on this Sydney side. Yep, they beat up on West Coast, fine. This Gold Coast side, as I said when we were talking about that game, I just feel like it was a bad spot for them. Like I'm not really reading too much into that game versus Melbourne, like sort of throwing it out. And you sort of heard Dimmer in the post presser as well, um, saying that the boys are going to respond next week, like they're going to bring the pressure and stuff. So yeah, I know like they're a dog here, and I say go with the favorites, but I make them favorites, so that's why I'm going with them. Um, and I think with the Sydney side, like I feel like they're the team that sort of is peaking a little bit too early. Like they're playing really well now, yes, but for the length of the season, I do like this Gold Coast side a lot more than Sydney. Um, yeah, the way Sydney plays, I think it could help them at this ground, but yeah, I just expect Gold Coast to bring it. I'm getting a good number here, catching points now. Yeah, so if this is a close game, then I'm gonna like where I'm at. But yeah, just classic buy low, sell high principles here. If this loses, like I'm not gonna be mad at the pick. So yeah, give me Gold Coast and the points. So clashing on that. Moving on to Hawthorn versus the Western Bulldogs Saturday night game at the Adelaide Oval. Last time they played, Western Bulldogs were 14.5 point favorites. Ended up losing by 22. This time around, Hawthorn are 8.5 point favorites. Stay away from me. Start of the week, I wanted to be on Hawthorn, but 5 day break sort of going on the road to Adelaide. I know it's a neutral site, but yeah, um, this was Hawthorn actually catching points, but then English was out, and I think Richard's out as well. So it's up to 8.5, and I just don't think I can lay 8.5 points on the road against this Western Bulldogs side. On like I think they're on a 5 day break as well. Is Hawthorn, I mean, on a 5 day break. So yeah, I wanted to be on Hawthorn, but yeah, at this number, probably not. If they were dogs or if they were laying probably less than 3 or 4, then yeah, I'd be on them. But yeah, at this number, if you're on Western Bulldogs, I think that's fair enough. That's a big number for them to be catching after as a team that's 4-0. What do you think?
Yeah, give me Bulldogs at +7.5. Fun fact, Hawthorn haven't actually won in gather round yet. So yeah, I'm sort of taking that on my side as well. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's
true.
quite a few points that I'm happy to take here. So yeah, that's pretty much my reasoning for taking the Bulldogs side. But yeah, I think any lower and I probably would be on Hawthorn. Maybe if it was just under a goal. But yeah, I'm happy with the Bulldogs pick.
Yeah, I think that's fair. As I say all the time, like if there's an injury, usually the team backs like comes up after 1 week. Um, But yeah, I think that's a fair pick. Moving on to Geelong versus West Coast Sunday afternoon game at Norwood. Last time they played, West Coast were 38.5 point dogs, ended up losing by 43. This time around, Geelong are 45.5 point favorites. Where are you going with this one?
Give me West Coast +45.5. I was leaning towards Geelong quite a bit throughout the week, but um yeah, I feel like just this morning I've decided to go with West Coast. I don't have real reasoning behind it. I just think, Geelong's left it all out there last week. That was a tough, intense game. And West Coast just absolutely didn't show up. And I'm sure they're gonna, they've got young players that, sort of gonna want to prove themselves, keep their spot in the team and they're gonna come out and perform a little bit. I don't think they'll win the game, but yeah, I'm not putting any money line on this West Coast team, but yeah, I think they might be able to cover this line here. How do you read it?
Should have recorded yesterday, mate. Give me Geelong -45.5 here. This is probably my favorite pick on the board, if I'm being honest. It's a massive favorite, I know. And usually, if you've been listening to me, I never pick these massive favorites. But again, gather around, go with favorites. Does mate like it's Norwood on a Sunday afternoon? Doesn't this
Yeah.
just feel like a bloodbath? Like it feels like Geelong just put a massive score up on this West Coast side here. I know West Coast, like, yeah, I guess you're buying low because they got blown out. You can't really buy much lower for this West Coast side. But what's this number? 45.5? Man, I make this like 55.5. I feel like I'm getting like 2 goals of value here. I didn't get why this is so low. Like, it's a bit fishy. I feel like I don't know. I feel like this closes closer to 50 than it does 40, for sure. But yeah, it's a really good spot for this Geelong side. I know they're coming off a tough emotional game with the Hawks. Fair enough. They get that extra day of rest, so it's 6 days off. And yeah, this West Coast side, I just don't expect to. I don't expect like a bounce back. You know what I'm saying? Like these bad sides, they can have a couple of weeks where they sort of don't show up. But yeah, I think this is a good number as well, 45 and a half. I'm in the 40s. I feel like yeah, with Wisco side. Yep, there are going to be more times when we jump on them this season. I just don't think this is a good spot. But yeah, fair enough. Another clash there. Moving on to the Giants versus Richmond Sunday afternoon game at the Barossa. Last time they played, the Giants were 45 and a half point favorites. Almost lost, but ended up winning by three there. This time around, the Giants are 35 and a half point favorites. Give me Richmond plus 35 and a half here. The like this is probably my fifth pick. I don't love it, obviously, but I just feel like with this Giants side, like what have they done to deserve to be six goal favorites anywhere, really? I know this Richmond side have looked really bad. So if you don't want to be on this, and that's fair enough. But I feel like this is a nice ugly dog. I know I've gone with a few favorites here, but you got to fit in an ugly dog somewhere here. Yeah, it's more of a fade on this Giant side. Like I feel like they've had a couple bad spots. Sorry, a couple good spots recently, and they haven't covered. Maybe off a bye. They're rejuvenated and they're getting a few players back. So if they do blow them out, I don't think it'll be the most shocking thing. But in this Richmond side, I feel like they've been underachieving. So I feel like you're getting a decent number here. So yeah, it's more a fade on the Giants than it is a play on Richmond. But yeah, give me Richmond the points. What do you think?
Stay away from me. I was leading towards Richmond. But yeah, I think I'm just not entirely sure if I can back Richmond, especially, I'd feel more confident if this was MCG. Obviously, it's not, but like, yeah, I just think it's a lot of points. I don't necessarily know where GWS are going to score all those goals from. But then, yeah, I also just don't have enough trust in Richmond to get that job done. So just pass for me.
Yeah, and because Richmond got blown out technically, and but I felt like they should have at least covered that game. So yeah, I think getting extra
Yeah.
3 points there. Moving on to Port Adelaide versus St Kilda to cap off gather round Sunday night game at the Adelaide Oval. Last time they played, Port Adelaide were 11 and a half point favorites. St Kilda ended up winning by 17. That's when I called them Port Adelaide last year. This time around, Port Adelaide are 9.5 point dogs. Where are you going with this one?
Give me Port Adelaide plus 9.5. I think, yeah, obviously they'll be playing at home during gather round, so great occasion. But also just fading St Kilda here as a favourite, especially away from home. It's pretty hard to back, but we've seen crazier things. I also honestly wouldn't be surprised if St Kilda find a way to, even like to just win this game. But yeah, I think Port Adelaide have what it takes. How about you?
Yeah, give me Port Adelaide plus 9.5, and give me Port Adelaide to win outright here. The start of the week, this is probably one of my favorite picks, but as the week's gone on, I've kind of gone a bit wary. Mate, what is this number? 9.5 points at home against St Kilda? Like it stinks.
Mhm.
To me, it's a smelly number. I don't know, something's fishy here. I don't know why St Kilda are this many favorites. So that's when you're not sure why, that's when you want to sort of be a little bit wary. But at the end of the day, it's St Kilda as a favourite on the road against Port Adelaide, who will be G'd up at the end of gather round here. It's a lot of points for this St Kilda side to be laying, and as you said, you want to fade them as favourites. Um, yeah, I expect them to win outright. Like Port Adelaide, I think last year were Dogs versus Hawthorn and ended up winning that one as well. So, yeah, even if they don't win, yeah, you want to. I don't know if you want to play St Kilda to win by a margin on the road here after having really shown anything at all this season. So yeah, fishy number. So it's not one of my favorite picks anymore. But yeah, anyway, we're both on Port Adelaide and the points. All right, so that's our picks for the week. Run us through your five.
So I got Collingwood plus 13.5, Sydney minus 3.5, Bulldogs plus 7.5, West Coast plus 45.5, and Port Adelaide plus 9.5.
So I'm on Brisbane minus 34 and a half. Gold Coast plus 3.5. So clash on that. Geelong minus 45 and a half. So clash on that. Richmond plus 35 and a half. And Port Adelaide plus 9.5. Survivor. Um, I think last week you would have been on Brisbane. So who would you go with this week?
Um, I I think it would have either been Geelong or GWS. I'm not sure if I've picked Geelong yet.
You have.
But
You have.
yeah, okay, GWS then.
Ooh, I think that's thought a little bit on Richmond money line because I think it'll be funny.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Geelong. As I said, I think they're going to blow them out. So yeah, Geelong for me. I haven't used them yet. All
Yeah.
right. So that's our picks for this week. Closing thoughts, Gus.
Yeah, Gather Round's always fun to watch, so we'll see how it goes. It'll be a good week of footy.
That's right. Enjoy the week.